Welcome back to the show, Reds. My name is Matt. This is Liverpool Latest. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have quite a bit to talk about, but first, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts down below, and most importantly, subscribe to never miss this daily edition of Liverpool news, rumors, conversation, opinions, and so much more. Let's get right to it. Brass tacks. I was doing some reading in preparation for this episode, and I've talked about Eduardo Camavinga a bit on the show, and how Liverpool have been interested in him, and they would like to steal him away from Real Madrid. It seems as though news is going around that sporting director Richard Hughes has now shortlisted Camavinga into possibly trying to acquire him in the near future. Here's the hilarious part. He has a €1 billion release clause. I did not stutter. $1 billion. Insane. Okay? And the deal could break through, or fall through, I should say, depending on if we even make the Champions League or not. And frankly, I don't even think the $1 billion price, or billion dollar euro, whatever the fuck, price really warrants something like this, because really it's more of a contract protection mechanism, as more so than a value indicator for Camavinga, because he could be sold, like any player could be sold, but certainly only if one, he pushes to move out, Madrid want a refresh, or a fee around 90 to 120 million euros appears. And as of right now, there is absolutely zero indication that Camavinga wants to leave, because he's pretty much rotation proof. He's 23 years old, in the prime of his career, and certainly seen as a long-term spine of Real Madrid. So, frankly, any hope of that happening is, you might as well just remove it from your mind, because if we were barely able to function with almost 500 million, imagine how much $1 billion is going to hurt us in the future. Here's the one thing, though. Outside of Camavinga, Alan Elias is a claim that, or a person and a player that is a little bit more interesting for Liverpool. He's from Sociedad Esportiva Palmeiras, with a €35 million package and a possible move after the World Cup takes place this summer. And a deal is certainly being structured and discussed amongst Liverpool, and I'm sure his home team. So clearly it goes to show why this is a little bit more plausible. Hughes is clearly moving for a youth side of, team, which I've talked about already. It seems like they're going into a youth movement to try and build for the future, which is a great thing. I'm not shitting on that at all. And it seems like South American direct recruitment is on the rise. And I mean, usually you would go for, I'm not saying you wouldn't go for South American players, but I mean, like, it seems like that's the case. I remember there was a time, maybe briefly, there was a time where they wanted to get people from Spain or Portugal or Germany. And now it feels like South America is producing some of the best footballers in the world right now. Of course, one of those being Alexis McAllister. So why not continue to build off of that if he is to stay in the near future? The question is, does this fit Liverpool's recruitment model? In a way, yes, because like I said, the Premier League is kind of moving towards a South American player base. Whether or not you like that is up to you. but I, for one, enjoy South American players. I just don't know how well they translate to Premier League football. After all, I'm pretty sure Darwin Nunez was South American. I forgot what country he's from, but like he struggled a bit with certain things. And obviously, I talked about McAllister earlier this week. How I feel like his style, his physicality, doesn't I mean, it's good for football, but I don't know if it translates to Premier League football. So really, what this article I was reading really signs is that they're trying to build a complete midfield refresh, and of course, all of which is contingent on Champions League qualification. But it certainly does not indicate any sort of structural overhaul or panic spending or any immediate blockbuster moves. So, if I was a betting man, I would throw the Camavinga idea out the window. Certainly going to be more of a luxury pick than anything. I think Alan Elias might be a more pretty much a much more logical player to acquire. Speaking of acquiring and losing players, I was also doing some reading, and Sky Sports has a what they call fan voice opinion section. One of these from a person named Josh Sexton said, is Jones priceless to Liverpool? That is the question we beg ourselves. He goes on to say that having a local heart on the team is very important. You know, football is a multi-billion-dollar industry where you can acquire a player from any country in the world, but if it is a team like Liverpool, having at least, some home roots in there matters a lot for the identity of the team. And then they go on to talk about how, there's comparisons between Dominic Szoboszlai and Steven Gerrard, and how, there is the opportunity that Szoboszlai could become captain, which is kind of building off this conversation a little bit. But it seems like this person, Josh, is someone that supports the idea of keeping Curtis Jones on the team, especially after the whole deal that happened in January where we were on the verge, or not on the verge, but rumored to be selling him. And he goes on to say the following quotes, if you don't mind me reading. Applying logic alone, the 25-year-old needs game time and has shown such progression that surely the next step of his career is to go somewhere he can display that as a starter on a more regular basis than under Arne Slot. Applying sentiment, though, means the lad born on an estate within Liverpool's city centre, who loves the club dearly and has spoken to candidly time and again, how much the down moments of his season have hurt him personally, does deserve to be viewed in a different light. Because Jones is not only of utmost importance to the local lads aspiring to play for the Reds one day, he is also important to this current side as a starting level midfielder who provides something a little different to what any of his teammates can bring as a rotational player. Possessing versatility, supreme technique, and a calm head when the moment demands is something that a heavily injured, maligned, and under pressure Liverpool side cannot afford to sniff at. They also cannot simply throw money at replacing such a skill set, because the truth is that Jones can only save Liverpool some pennies. He's priceless. That was in the second half of this individual's, take. And I have to say, to some degree, I agree with it. I agree in the sense that having a hometown face is important for the identity and of the team. I think Jones has been leaps and bounds, doing very well this season. He's had a bit of a rough start at some cases, but when he's been on and he's been on the field starting, he's probably one of the best people on the field, frankly. He's been able to score. He's been able to have great midfield plays, good defense, and in a way, that is priceless. That said, Do I think Jones is a leader? And if you ask my honest opinion, I haven't really seen much of Jones to really get an indication that he is a leader type. I'm not saying he's a follower type either. But when I see Curtis Jones and I see how he handles himself on the field, I don't see a leader. I don't see someone that could direct players to what they need to do. I'm sure he could assist in helping, but I don't see him being the guy. So I agree from a skill set point of view and a somewhat sentimental point of view. Jones is in fact priceless to the team. I think he should be getting more playing time. I think he's earned that much this season. Do I think he's leadership material? Frankly, I just don't see it. And that's not a knock on him at all. I can't see it where other people are excelling a little bit more at it. So sue me if that's a bad take to you, but it is what it is. That said, I do also agree with the fact that he is much more cost efficient. Granted, they might have to pay a lot of money to keep him down the line, because I think he is still under some sort of contract negotiation as well, because I think he has about 16 months left of his contract. So now on to some team news. So, as expected, Jeremy Frimpong is out for the Forest game this coming weekend, and is more likely to return against West Ham, if anything. He's been sidelined since the Champions League game against Karabag with a muscle injury, so they now have to once again create a makeshift right back side, which, again, not ideal, but there are players I have in mind that I can put in there who I believe could do well in the spot. Endo, as expected, this should not be news to anybody. Long term, unknown. Sly has gone and saying it's a long time for him to ever come back right now, which sucks because he's a defensive stabilizer, certainly a late game closer, and an aerial duels specialist. So Joe Gomez, on the other hand, would be my pick to replace Frimpong on the right side. He's apparently ready to start, which is important because they need flexibility on the defensive side. He can cover center back and fullback, and the rotation becomes easier during fixture congestion. Excuse me, I cannot read. So, begs the question, who should be in the starting 11 when it comes to Nottingham Forest this weekend? Well, obviously, I'm going to pick Alisson Becker in goal. He's the guy, always. Back four, Kirkez is a no-brainer to me. Van Dijk and Konate, who have been run ragged all season, once again, take the start. Joe Gomez at right back. In the middle, I'm going McAllister and Gravenberch. I would probably throw Jones in there too for one of them, probably McAllister's position. But, because again, I think Jones has earned it. I don't think Macca has shown a whole lot. He's shown some bits and brilliance here and there, but I think Jones could easily be in that spot, personally speaking. The next three, Verts, obvious, very obvious. Szoboszlai, again, another obvious pick, and Salah will be on the right, and in the striker position, Hugo Ekitike. And considering that Ekitike has, 15 goals to his name this campaign, he is asked to deliver again. So the big thing I mentioned that you may notice here in this starting 11, who is missing? A fixture of the Liverpool starting 11, whom no matter how bad he seems to do, finds some way to make it into the starting lineup. Cody Gakpo is the dilemma that Arne Slot faces himself. Does he want to win, or does he want to go with his countryman, his illegitimate son? Here's the thing, man. Dropping Gakpo is prioritizing a few things here. One, control between the lines, and a suggested dissatisfaction with how he has been with the left wing ball progression recently. I mean, it's I almost knocked my other mic over. It's the same shit every time. Runs in, cuts it, and then the entire press is dead. It's the same Cody Gakpo recipe. Now, I'm not saying Cody Gakpo isn't a good player. Sometimes he has strokes of brilliance, but this season, he's been pretty ass, frankly. And it definitely reflects how reliant Liverpool are right now on chance creation from half spaces. So, I can't see Gakpo starting right now. To me, he's a liability. He's more of a liability than anything on the team at this moment in time. I cannot, in good conscience, tell you that Cody Gakpo should start. I'm not saying he shouldn't play. I think he should probably sub in at some point. But as far as the left wing position goes, there are people that are far more qualified for this position right now, like Florian Wirtz. So, if you ask me, I think that's the risk that we have to take. Because let's also not forget, and this is a big important thing that I was reading on Sports Illustrated. And this is let's see here. I saw it earlier. A direct line from the article that I read. Liverpool have to travel to relegation-threatened Nottingham Forest, seeking revenge for their Premier League drubbing in November. What happened in November, you might ask? We lost 3-0 against a now relegation-threatened team. They were brutally beaten by the Midland side at Anfield, tasting an embarrassing 3-0 defeat to effectively end all hopes of retaining their Premier League crown. I unfortunately remember that like it was yesterday a little bit. Arne Slot is still awaiting his first victory against Forest after 3 failed attempts that will now be taking on a third manager, Vitor Pereira, in a bid to end that run. You heard that right. Arne Slot has never beaten Nottingham Forest. If you remember early last season, when we won the title, we lost. Horribly. Well, not horribly, but it was definitely not a great loss. And I think the next time we drew, if I'm not mistaken. Then we lost to 3-0. So, if Arne Slot wants to keep his job, he needs to win this game. As I said in a previous video, this is one of those 5 games that he needs to win. These upcoming games are going to be very important for Liverpool. I can't stress this enough. It's a really easy schedule we're facing. Very easy. Most of them are lower table teams. There is no reason why we cannot go at least 4 out of the 5. I'll give one of them a draw. I'm not saying we got to lose. We probably will lose knowing us this season. But let's say that one of them goes to a draw. 4 out of the 5. That's still pretty good. It should be 5 out of 5, but we'll see. But until then, you know I'll be here for the result of that match. And hopefully we will have a bit of a thrashing like we did against Brighton in the FA Cup. So that is my Liverpool latest today. I appreciate the fact that you guys are here. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Comment your thoughts down below. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Never miss an upload. Because when you join the Liverpool Latest family, you'll never walk alone. Up the Reds. Let's beat Forest.